Hello, and welcome to the Sausage Cab podcast. We've got Dave Chambers here, no relation to myself. I'm John Chambers. And tonight we are going to just go through basically the season so far-ish, very briefly, and do some reviews on who we think is going to win the British Touring Car title, which is this weekend at Brands Hatch. So first of all, it is the finale at the weekend. Four possible people, four possible drivers obviously can win. Are you going? Are you going? Yep, so do I. Yep, so do I. A- Absolute jammy dodger. Yeah, well, I mean, we've got to admit it as well. Wait a minute, he says, "Can you not hear Dave at all?" He's saying he can't hear you. So I don't know what I've done. No, it'll be me. I'm sure it won't be you. Don't got no idea. I'll try and sort that, and then I'll start again. Um, I'll just have a little look. Might be something to do with the capture on my. It will be on my end, definitely. I know it will be. I've just got to figure out how to do it. The window capture. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. It'll be a bit of a nightmare if they can't hear you, Dave. Sorry, chat. Thanks for coming along. We've got Harry, Dobzeus, morning. Where are you, Dobzeus, if it's the morning? But this is teething problems because John's never went live with the Zoom call before. So I don't have a clue why that wouldn't be on. I can add. Wait a minute, I'll just turn off the capture of that. Yeah, he said it's not a bad thing if you can't hear Dave. No, that's it. Um,
I mean, the only thing I can think of is. Can you speak now, Dave? Can you hear you? What's it like now? Teething problems? Let us know. They might not be able to hear me now. Yeah, I've turned that off just now. No audio. He's saying no audio. Right, okay, so this is bad news. Right, okay. Only Wales. Wait a minute then. Video capture back. I'm wondering if it should be a different type of capture. This is probably my bad. I will just see if I can sort it out. How's this? Dave, talk.
Hello.
Can you hear Dave yet?
Can anyone hear me?
You can hear me. Harry says he can hear me. I'm just waiting. It might be a little bit of a delay. So I'm just going to see if I can.
Yeah, they can hear me now.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Well, I was under a bit of pressure there, so I'll start all over again. Unfortunately, they can hear you now, Dave.
Do you know what? Zeus has put that, and I've just had a WhatsApp come through from my wife. Yeah, we can unfortunately hear you.
Thanks, wife.
Got all the
Chambers. So we'll start again then. Dave, are you going along this weekend to Brands Hatch?
Yeah, I wasn't planning to, and entered, as I always do, competitions on Facebook to try and win some hospitality. And yeah, I've been lucky enough to be part of the Accelerate lot this weekend. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
What about yourself?
Well, we weren't. I was planning actually to do a full qualifying watch along on this, and then I was going to do the watch along on the Sunday. But we also have won VIP tickets with Powermax Racing. Well, Car Store actually the sponsor.
Nice.
We done the same thing. We all piled in and tried to win a competition. I've never actually ever won a competition. It wasn't even me who won it. It was Harry's. It was our friend Chris. So me, Chris, and Harry will all be there. For the Saturday, that's for the Saturday. So then we were in the thing like, well, we're travelling all the way down to Brands Hatch from Yorkshire anyway for the whole day on the Saturday to travel there and back 8 hours ish.
Yeah.
In one day. Why don't we just stay over to the Sunday? So it looks like. Is he saying I'm echoing now? So what I think that might be is. This is all new to me, you see. So if I get rid of that,
because you're all the way up in north, you know.
Yeah, that's it. It's bad, isn't it?
Coming down.
How's that, Harry? Can you hear me now, or have I completely disappeared? Because I think I had my headphones mic. Basically, what it does is it either captures from the Zoom meeting and from your headphones. So I'm not sure whether I was doubling up there. Harry might tell me if I'm.
Yeah, my wife
he says it's sorted
now as well.
Yeah. Cool. That's me. It's all technical stuff. It's all my fault.
Yeah.
And I'm now having to program this so that I don't do it again. So hopefully we're going to be there Saturday and Sunday, nice. And it should be a pretty epic weekend, shouldn't it?
Does that mean a weekend of winding up Creasy, does it?
Yeah, I think we'll try and wind him up as much as possible, and then we'll be nice to him all Saturday, because then he might be able to help us out getting in on Sunday.
That's true.
Never a promise, but you know.
Save the winding up for Sunday then.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I mean, to be fair, the thing is, we say it's his local track, but it's a lot of the driver's local track, isn't it?
Well, it's quite close to London, isn't it? So you've got great access, obviously, in and around London. Well, when the traffic's not bad, but it's a good hub, isn't it? So it makes sense that, or works out that most drivers will be in and around, wouldn't they? So a lot of them, you hear a lot of them in the interviews going, well, that's my local track, and you're thinking, bloody hell, it's all your local tracks, so you're all. But the thing is, I mean, it's a bit different, because like Thruxton, for instance, that is Josh Cook's local track, and he trains there and everything, doesn't he? And you can kind of tell, but I think Ricky Collard, because Rob Collard's Hampshire. So we've got a couple down that way anyway.
See you at Accelerate, Dave, says Dobzus.
Yes, he will.
Because is he from the Tingram fan group, did you say?
Yeah, and the Jeff Army. Yeah.
Jeff Army. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on the Jeff Army, but I've not officially been.
He was the one who gave me my lovely Jeff name.
I mean, we do have the same surnames, but we're yet to know whether we're actually related or not, by the way.
That's true.
For anybody watching and thinking, well, they've both got the same surname, but... So, I was going to first ask, is there any standout moments from this season that you can think of, probably involving the four people, the four drivers that can still win the championship this weekend? Is there any standout kind of performances or weekends that you think, oof, that they were absolutely fantastic, as a standout? Sometimes you see a champion's drive, don't you, during the season? So I was just wondering.
I mean, Jake Hill at Donington, but was Donington first race, first race weekend, wasn't it?
It was this season. Yeah, I think we were there. Was that long ago? I think we were there, Harry.
He by memory, he qualified on pole. Did he get shunted off, or he spun and he ended up at the back, and then ends up reverse grid pole, and didn't he win the final race? Just to me, that was, that shows from your weekend going from great to terrible, back to fantastic. And Donington doesn't seem to be over easy to overtake on, even though it was obviously a Grand Prix track, etc. But for him to be able to pull some of those moves and get that far back up the grid to be in contention for a reverse grid draw, I thought that was just brilliant. It was, but I mean, Ash Sutton, he's just been there the whole time, hasn't he? There's no, you don't go into a race weekend and think Ash Sutton's going to be out of that top 10.
Well, that's the thing with Ash.
Yeah, I mean, when he was at Thruxton in May, I was there, and he got 3 podiums, and that's an achievement. I mean, admittedly, it's not outstanding, but that's pretty good going considering that's a car that isn't really.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Car.
I was just going to say that I don't think they're 100% happy with the car, and I don't think they've ever been 100% happy with the car this full season.
Yeah.
I think both are superb drivers, Sutton and Carmish, and I think that's why we've seen them both show the potential in the car. But I think my standout. Evening, folks. Sorry, I'm leaving chat here, and I'm not even speaking to you guys. Cheers for coming along, and if you don't mind, just give us a little like and a follow, or what's it called on YouTube? It's called sub, I believe. Still getting used to that. Oh, I'm looking at one which.
I think you can hit a like button on YouTube, I think.
Yeah. Well, this will be posted after we're live anyway, and we're going to do more of these. So hopefully you can get involved in the chat if you've got anything to ask or that. We'll just or any opinions, we'll try and chat about it. But I think my standout was I was at Knock. I mean, I've done a hell of a lot this year. I've probably done more touring cars this year than I ever have before in one season. Because we went to I won't do it in any order. Well, Donington, Alton Park, Knockhill, Snetterton, Brands Hatch. We're going to do. So it's like I've done a fair few of them. We missed Thruxton this year, but me and Harry went to Thruxton the previous year. Richard came with Croft a few times. I think we missed Croft this year. Don't think I was at Croft this year. I think I was away. But my standout was definitely while stood there watching it from the side of the track was Jake Hill against Ash Sutton at Knockhill. Because I know a lot of folk have called it a modern classic and stuff, but when you were watching it, it was just, they were absolutely brilliant. Side by side racing, and they were giving each other loads of respect, and I don't think you can really go past anyone at Knockhill without giving them a slight nudge, but they were really quite respectful. They were quite respectful to each other. And Jake Hill was just outstanding. I know people will say the cars, well, they have been saying all season that the BMWs are overpowered, but I'm not sure if it's the kind of manner in which they apply the power with the hybrid and stuff that's maybe making them look over, because on a corner, a slow corner, coming out of a slow corner onto a large straight, that's all the places. It's all the places where the BMWs have been getting, a lot of gripe from the fans, etc. But I think the first time was when we were at Snetterton, a lot of people were complaining because Turkington turned up with no hybrid, I believe, and stuck it on pole. So
I mean that battle with, like you're saying, with Jake Hill and Ash Sutton at Knockhill, it was brilliant because both cars were better in different places in the circuit, and you had two drivers who I would say are very similar in their attitude of driving, going hammer and tong into every corner, but trying to eye each other up. And next thing you know, it was coming up to the last lap, and you thought, "Blimey, if you blink, you miss something in this race." And it's I agree with you on that race. That was race one, wasn't it, at Knockhill?
Yeah, it was race one. Yeah. I think as far as race ones go, generally we'd been kind of used to a little bit of a procession, hadn't we? Sometimes. Depending on what happened in qualifying, obviously, or penalties or whatever, but generally, at the bigger tracks, you'd tend to see, whoever stuck it on pole deserved to get the win in race one if they could keep it type thing. And
a lot of people sort of tiptoe around, don't they? Because you can see they're thinking points, they're thinking, championship. Let's get round this first race, bag some points. then as the day goes on, the risks happen. But that race one in Knockhill was fantastic.
It's the great way that they kind of set up for the touring cars. I think it's because you can win or lose a weekend in that first race, really. If you bin it, and that's what we've seen time and time again. I mean, Turks last weekend, in that first race, getting spun out and turned, and then it just goes from bad to worse for him because he's just chasing and chasing the whole time while his competitors are bagging big points,
Yeah. Well, I mean, he went from championship leader down to fourth, didn't he? So, and like you said, he's not a bad driver in a good car. So, yeah.
I know. It's Harry said that one, he looks forward to meeting you in person. If we're down there, we'll meet you. And two, he was saying the standout. Oh, wait a minute, what's it talking about? This says the meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now, and say I've already upgraded.
I haven't.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. I've already upgraded, so I'm not sure why this is doing this. If so, I'll have to cut the stream and restart it. Because it only gives you 40 minutes, and we were chatting on Zoom for a little while before we came live. But that shouldn't be an issue because I've already signed up to a license. I know I have. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Zeus in the comments said about standout for him was Tingram race 3 at Thruxton in the second lot of Thruxton with a broken gearbox and still got points with no, So, that I think Tingram is due a championship. He has been there, in that top hunting group. I'd say, the last 3 seasons he's been knocking on the door, if not 4 seasons.
Yeah, 100%.
And he comes across as a genuinely nice person, and I love listening to his pre-race interviews with adders, and with his cheeky sort of puns he fires back at them. And I think at this weekend coming up, if he's not in contention to win still at race 3, that would be a bit of a shame because I think he thoroughly deserves a championship, and it'd be, if I was to have a personal favourite, he would be definitely one of them up there to be winning it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I like him. I just like him. He's like you said, he's a bit of a cheeky chap. He's a nice guy. Hello, Tin Top. Cheers for coming in. Right, Gled's in as well. He's asking who's all off to Brands. Well, we're off to Brands, and I'm sure, I know for a fact, Tin Top will be off to Brands. Sadly, for some reason, my Zoom has given me a countdown for 7 minutes. So we've got 7 minutes until I'll have to... What I'll do is I'll just end our Zoom. So if you all stay there when it happens, and then what I'll do is I'll just call Dave back because I did upgrade all of this before I came live. So I'm not 100% sure what's happened. But it will be
your credit card.
Yeah, that's probably what's happened, actually. Bloody business card.
Too many touring car tickets, and they're getting suspicious.
Yeah. Phil will be representing us at Brands. All right, is that Lee in chat? Then I'm guessing. But yeah, I can't disagree. Like the thing is, does any of the top 4? There's some great parts of this season. There's been some dodgy parts. All the rest of it, there always is in tour cars. But do any of them not deserve to be going for this championship? That's the thing. Regardless of what they've done before, it's like a lot of people. A lot of people have said, "Oh, Turkington's too far behind," etc. But he isn't really, is he? I'm not sure he is.
There's been bigger gaps reduced in the final rounds, or final round, I mean, for, in the past. I think, was it Shedden once, who was, 30 odd points adrift and ended up, winning, beating Plato.
Yeah. Is that the season where they said Shedden was being waved through by everybody?
Yeah. Well, when you got Matt Neal with his elbows out, it's it's
I
going to
know.
be opened up for you, isn't it?
I've actually been to Brands for a couple of the finales. It's just always worked out that way. Someone's been going, or they've been given tickets for their birthday or whatever, and I've ended up going along with them. And the last race of the season was the last time I was there was when Camish. I don't know if his brakes failed or whether he snatched it up at the end of Hawthorns. Was it Hawthorns?
Yeah, no, it was brake failure.
Was it brake failure? Yeah, and he went straight on, didn't he? And that he was on for the championship. He was on for stealing the championship.
Yeah, well, he was going to win it. Yeah, he was. So that race, were you there that race weekend when that happened? Or
yeah, I was there. Yeah.
So I was there also because it was. I funnily enough had hospitality again, and I was stood in the RCIB Civic with Butcher and Bushell at the time. In the pit garage, and the TVs in the pit garage are delayed. So we're stood there watching it, thinking, yeah, okay, we can see Camish. Turkinson's not getting through enough, and we're stood there just watching it. And next thing you hear, and you're obviously in the pit garage. There's a lot going on. Was just this massive gasp on the pit straight, and I thought, what's happened? And there was, no real cars going past at that time on the pit straight. Next thing you know, 5-10 seconds later, you see Camish skirtle off the track into the barriers, and I can remember that because it was the gasp from the crowd watching.
Oh yeah,
they obviously must have had it before we visualised, saw it on our screens.
Yeah,
and it was. I've never experienced such a big gasp. Apart from when there's been a serious accident that's been shown on a screen, ever before in touring cars, and that just shows what can happen in touring cars, doesn't it? It's
Well, like Lee said there, we saw Camish. We were up at the top of Druids, so right. every time we saw Dan coming, well, even going out of Druids, his brakes were still bright orange, and we were like, whoa. And I think all the Hondas were actually, but his were by far the brightest. He was, and obviously I ran up to the Hawthorne Straight. I think, well, it's just before, like when you can go from the back of Druids up to, you can literally walk 2 minutes and you can see them flying up that straight. They were still red flying up there. So I thought that's a bit odd, and he was going so quick.
What helps with all that is that last race normally at Brands Hatch it's a bit dusky, it's getting a bit dark, and it shows all those glowing brake discs brilliantly. But like you said, Dan Cam's discs they were scorching, weren't they?
Oh, they were going. They were absolutely off it. It was just one of those moments at Brands. But yeah, I was going to.
What an entertaining end of a season, though. I mean, you can write that sort of thing, could you?
There's not many times where there isn't. I mean, I know we do jest about Lord Gow and all the rest of it. There's not that many ends to the season where it isn't that entertaining. I just don't know if the balanced performance this year's been bang on, but it won't be, will it? With the hybrids and all the rest of it, I don't think it'll be bang on for the first season. I think next season it could be even. I mean, it could even be closer next season. Well, or more involved. Butcher wasn't that far off. If you look at some of the failures they had early doors with the car.
Yeah.
And Camish will say the same, I suppose. He's had a torrid time with...
But
what I might
do... I don't think for the first season, though, it's been too bad. I think it's... there's obviously been times where it's obvious. But then again, you had that with Ballast. I think for a first season with, obviously all new system, new issues, potential, with the hybrid, it's still, we're going into the last couple of rounds at Brands Hatch with 4 people or 4 drivers potentially able to win it still. And I mean, that's good. It's not one-sided in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? What I'm going to do is, folks, if you can bear with me, is for some reason I upgraded my Zoom to Pro and for some reason it's still only allowing a 40-minute meeting, so I'll be cancelling this straight afterwards and going for another. I'll go for Teams or something if that's good. What I'll do is I'll just try and end the call with Dave, and then I'll call Dave back in, and we should still be live. I'll just mute myself so that you can't hear any cursing or swearing. And I'll read out some more of the comments afterwards when I get back on it. So just bear with us. I'll just cancel it just now because it only tells me I've got less than 1 minute, so it could cut out at any moment. So I'll cut it off, and then I'll get Dave back in, and then we'll have another 40 minutes hopefully. Okay. I'll just do that just now, Dave.
Cool.
I just need to make sure that we get the right thing here. People will be able to hear me, but they won't be able to see me. I hope I did mute it. Can everybody hear us? Anyway, can you hear both of us? That's a good start, because I need to try that again, don't I? Because last time,
yeah,
I did something silly with the audio.
The joys of technology.
Oh man, honestly, I'm getting used to this stuff, but it's going to take me a little while. So the window properties. This is a meeting. Zoom.
Yeah, Chris says we're loud and clear.
Quality. Cheers, Chris. And cheers, Harry. I've just got to get the Zoomy back up. By the time we get back up, hey, we're back. Yep, that is a benefit, not being able to see us, Lee. So with the magic of technology, what I will do is I'll just fire in the old driver standings across the bottom of the screen, just so everybody can see them. But you'll already know, because you're all massive touring car fans anyway. But Ash Sutton leads on 345, Jake Hill is on 340, Tom Ingram is on 338, and Colin Tuckington's on 318. So I'll leave that on while we discuss it anyway, but really, I think we've discussed all the drivers anyway, really. We all know where they came from and how experienced they are. There's God knows how many championships between them, but who would you, I think you've already answered it, I think, but who would you... have you kept off it? Right, there's two different questions, I suppose. Is who would you like to see win it? Yeah. So just on the basis of who would you like to see win it? And that's for chat as well. You can all answer that as well.
I personally would like to see Tingram win it. Like I said before, he deserves a championship by now. And I can remember I saw him at Thruxton back when Ash was in the Infinity, and walked away. Last year, wasn't it? He won again.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to Tinker, I said, when are you going to win a championship? And you went, when Ash retires.
Yeah. He's got a good sense of humour, Tingram, though, isn't he? He has got a good,
exactly,
and he is a bit of a fan's favourite on that front, and he always seems to be real chirpy on. I watched him through. The weird thing is, obviously he was in Genettas, etc., wasn't he, Tingram? I've got him, and did he win the Genetta Junior Championship? Wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he did. 2010. I've got it up now because.
Is it that long ago, was it? Wow.
2010, he won the Genetta Juniors and he went up to the GT Supercut in the G50 in 11.
Yeah.
When he won that.
Yeah.
And then he went up to the G55. I don't know if he went up the next season. And then he took a season and then won that in 2013. Then he's been in British Touring Cars since, really, but he won the Independent Trophy. Or am I talking? Yeah, I think he won the Independent Trophy in 17-18.
Yeah.
So, but he was with Speedworks Motorsport for ages, wasn't he? And then they brought the Corolla in. And when that happened, and then when there was murmurings of Toyota like bringing a team and all that, I thought he's going to win it. He's on a title here. He'll get a title here.
Yeah.
And then it didn't seem to go for him, did it? When I'm looking at the standings from the Speedworks, he worked his way up the Speedworks from like 15th one season, that was in 14, then 13, then 10th. Then he got to third. He got up to third with Speedworks, and he thought, "Here we go." And then this was still in the Avensis, the Toyota Avensis. Then in 2018, he finished second in the overall championship. And a lot of people say if he wasn't disqualified at Knock Hill, he would have won it. And then since then, it was the Team Toyota GB when he was in the Corolla.
Yeah.
And he finished sixth. I think that to take a bit of getting used to with that car. And then it was the season after, it was fourth, so he was making progress. And then he left to go Accelerate in 2021. He finished fourth. Yeah. And now he's sitting in third. So a lot of people would say he's been patiently building up to win a championship. Chris Kirby says he likes Tingram.
I mean, to be someone who's consistently, what you've just said there, in the top 5 for several seasons, to me that is someone who does deserve a championship. Yeah,
that's Chris. Chris says he likes him. He comes across really well. He's excited to watch, but he's back in Jake Hill. Dub Zeus, he's obviously a big Tingram fan. He'd love to see him when he's been supporting him since 2013. And Tintop said he'd learn and improve the car during the first part of the year and then come strong with the win. So,
what about yourself? Who would you?
I'm not sure.
Would you like to win?
Because I think in certain periods touring cars, I've liked all of them. I like Tucking it just because he seems to be Mr. Steady Eddie, but he's consistent as hell. And when he needs to be quick, he can be. And that's what I kind of like about him. He's a little bit kind of. I don't want to really say. Well, I could a little bit like the kind of Schumacher-ish of BTCC. Like you would just go out and just stick stuff on pole and then just go and win, and you kind of wouldn't see much. But then when he needs to be, he gets his elbows out. But he has kind of stayed out of. Well, I was going to say he's stayed out of trouble in recent years, but then last weekend kind of is what stuck him at the back of this pack really on the screen.
Well, I think like this season he's just literally ticked along in the shadows, and then the last couple of race meetings he's been up there in that championship battle, and next thing we're coming in and he was leading the championship before the other weekend, and is still in contention now. So, I mean,
he is Mr. WSR, isn't he? Yes. I think he's raced in God knows how many different cars, all for WSR. I'm not even sure when he went to World Touring Cars if it was if I don't know what the car was there. It probably was a BMW again.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Tuckinen's won it 4. Has he won it 4 times already?
I think it's 4. Yeah.
I think this would be Ash. This would be his fourth. Yeah, this would be Ash's fourth if he won it. So with some of the driving I've seen this year, I'd probably like to see Jake Hill or Tom Ingram win. If I have to say one of them, I'd probably say Ingram on the basis of, I just think he's been at it a hell of a long time with building teams and trying to build cars to win championships. And nothing against Jake Hill or any of the other guys up there, to be honest with you. I'd like to see him win it. If not him, definitely Jake Hill, because I think Jake Hill's... The thing with Jake Hill is he used to always... He used to always have the pace. He's always like when he had the car on rails, he had the absolute pace, and he's so aggressive. But like, remember his first win got taken away from him when he tapped Matt Neal, didn't he, at Oulton Park?
Yeah, a bit more than a tap, wasn't it?
But it's a tap if you're Jake Hill, and it was absolutely bashed off. But it was, you could tell that he was absolutely gutted when that happened. Like, because he probably had the pace. If he'd waited, I think it was going into the final lap, though, wasn't it, or something like that. But I think he would have had the pace eventually. But it's just these little things.
He was probably more scared when Matt Neal towered over him.
I think he was. But I mean, we had Simon. We had Simon on the podcast a while back, and he was great to chat to. And he obviously he's a proud father and all the rest of it, like a lot of them. But he's so involved and he's at every race, and it's just be kind of nice to see it if they won as well. But it's a unique situation in motorsport. I think.
So who do you think will win it then?
Yeah, so that is the next question. Is who do we think will win it? That's who would maybe like to win it, but who's actually going to win it?
What do chat think?
Chat think you've got a potato, Cam.
Yeah, that's iPhone for you.
Yeah, it's. Chris Kirkby thinks that Sutton will win it. I find it hard to see past him if he gets it between his teeth. Obviously, qualifying it'll be easier to make a call, but I find it hard to see past Sutton. Like the car hasn't been brilliant for them, so I mean it might just not work out. The car might just not be balanced around brands, and they might be a bit slow. We know that the BMW of Turkington's quick. The thing is, he's got Jake Hill in front of him, but they can't come together, because if they come together, they're handing a title to someone else. So the actual race politics behind it. The thing is, when I think about race politics and rear gunners and stuff, so you've got to think about this at Brands. Well, you've got to think about this anyway, but Brands is the last race, and so Ash Sutton's got Dan Camish, who generally has been qualifying relatively close till recently, and so he would be a perfect tail gunner for if Ash needs him. Jake Hill hasn't. He's got Turks and Jelly, so I mean, if they're going into the last race and Turks can't win, then Jake Hill will be in some position, I think, because he'll have two BMWs to help him. Tingram, his teammates, is there four Hyundais on there? There's definitely Chilton. I mean, Buttel.
There is four, but whether they're
in contention,
accelerate, aren't they?
Yeah.
Whether they want to,
help out
each other.
WSR is very much a tight, although Jake Hill's the kind of the black sheep, if you like, because he's in the Rocket sponsored other car, isn't he? So
it
that makes it really interesting. I think out of all four of them drivers, Tingram has the least amount of help from teammates, because Chilton's the only one who can get up there with pace. He's had more pace recently, Chilton, hasn't he? Actually, than he had in the first half of the season.
Yeah, and like Dan Lloyd, he on his day he's rapid as well. So if he gets a good car set up and gets a good quali lap in, he could be right up there helping him. So
Dan Lloyd was the other one I was trying to remember actually. Dan Lloyd. If he's on it, it could. In fact, I think Dan Lloyd qualified really high up in the Astra actually there before. So,
okay, yeah.
He maybe likes the track.
What's your answer then? What's your answer?
Who's going to win?
Yeah. Who's your money on?
If you had to put money on it, if you had to I'll go with... I think Jake Hill. I think I'll go with Jake Hill. I don't know why, it's just a bit of a hunch. I think...
Yeah.
I mean, it's winner or bin it, isn't it? It's winner or bin it.
Yeah, I think... I would say it's Jake Hill's if he keeps his head in the game. If he doesn't try anything too outrageous, because he has got pace. He is a fast driver. I watched him at media day at Thruxton, and I was stood on the first corner. Is that Allard? And I was just stood there, and the way he was hustling that car around that corner was, I mean, for a small lad, he's got some big. It was incredible to watch how he was throwing that car into the first corner at Thruxton, and I think I actually called it that day, thinking he was going to be, if he kept himself out of trouble, he would win the championship. And as much as I think he could do it personally, I think if he qualifies well, just keeps his nose a bit clean, but he's got that drive to want it. I think he could do it.
Yeah.
Unless it's wet, and the BMWs don't like the wet, do they?
Well, it's I think it's 50-50 just now. I don't think anybody knows what the British weather is going to be doing, but I think Harry picked Sutton. He said earlier, because I asked the guy's opinion. Harry and Rich are not on tonight, but Rich also asked Rich's opinion, and I think he may have also went with Sutton.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
no. He says he'd like to see Tingram win.
Right. Okay.
But he says he thought Sutton would do it. I thought that was the case. But he wasn't 100% sure. Something was, he said, between Sutton and Jake Hill, which is a bit of a cop-out. But I think he went for Jake Hill, and he says, but he'd like to see Tingram win it. So his answer the other way around from what I said, I suppose. Oh no, similar to what I said, actually. Yeah. So he thought he'd like to see Tingram win it, but he thinks that Jake Hill could win it.
I mean, either way, we're set up for a cracker, aren't we?
Well, that's what I mean. It's all just
brilliant weekend.
I don't think anybody can. It's all just whatever you think. Yeah, it's whatever you think. Because no one's predicting this. I don't think.
No,
I think there's probably going to be a little bit of controversy, unless they've all agreed to behave themselves. But
it is British touring cars.
It just is, isn't it? It just is.
Yeah.
But I'll just flip from this one and I'll stick the old manufacturers up. If anybody cares, I don't think anybody does. But Napa Racing the top, and that would be big for them, actually. I think if Napa Racing could, come in with that name and just stick it straight on the manufacturers. I don't know if it's like Formula One where the more of the money is in the manufacturers, or whether they get any money at all.
I don't know.
I do not have a clue. Lee probably knows a little bit more about that.
I mean, to be honest, though, for Napa Racing to be top of that table when you've got two... I mean, are they classing it as 3 team BMWs there, are they? And then, you got 4 of the...
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Or is it 4 is the Bristol Street Motors, or is that...
I don't know if it's... Yeah, I'm not sure. I do get a little bit confused, which is why I was a bit apprehensive of bringing up the team standings. That's why I just chopped the top 3, because nobody really cares. So, just Prestige, Tim Topper saying, I agree. I think, you don't really hear much people bragging about the manufacturers, do you? It was a very... Super Tourers, it definitely was, because it was direct manufacturers. You were seeing them, and, and generally the driver probably didn't get as much of the limelight. The independents, Josh Cook will probably win that. He's at the top with 4.52. And Adam Morgan's had a half decent season, and Bobby Thompson's in third, and George Gamble.
George Gamble's done well.
Yeah.
Considering
considering his car breaks down on the first lap of every race, like on the warm-up lap. Jesus, what?
Yeah.
Him and Morgan's, isn't it?
For someone who's fresh into touring cars, I mean, he's done very well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I've just brought on the Jack Sears trophy standards because that's the other kind of nice trophy I think in the touring cars is like because you've seen people who've never normally they've not been on a podium, is it? Or
yes, yeah.
Top three in the previous season. So you've got Bobby Thompson, George Gamble, and Ash Hand all going for that.
And you're not allowed to be entered back into it if you win it.
If you've won it, yeah, of course. That's why Creasy's not in it because I think Creasy's pretty much on the same points as Ash Hand this year. So they've had a bit of a torrid time with their car, but
it's good. It's good to see Bobby Thompson back in.
Yeah, he comes straight back in. He's done a solid. He looks. Actually, the last couple of races, the Cupras have looked pretty on it. Actually,
yeah, they have.
Because Taylor, what's his name? Aaron Taylor Smith. He had a fantastic Silverstone. Looked really quick.
Yeah, Bobby Thompson sort of mid-season, he was well up there, and after that horrendous crash he had a few years back, where he went over and over and over. It's always nice when you see someone who's had a setback and then come back into it and is doing well. So yeah, fair play to him for being top of the Jack Sears at the moment.
Yeah, and Tim Topper saying that it's the biggest of all the trophies. I think you mean in actual size, don't you?
Size,
I think it is the largest trophy because when we first had Creasy on like one of our pod chat stuff so we'd done before, I think the first time he got there he had it in beside him like this. You're like, what's that you've got? And I think he carried it around everywhere with him, to be honest with you.
I think he's small enough to have a bath in it, isn't
he? Yeah. Yeah, but I think that, like, I agree with Chris. Chris is saying in the comments, the Jack Sears Trophy is great. He goes, it's one of the best things about the British touring cars, and I agree. When you've got a grid the size of the British touring cars, like 30 cars, with experience up and down all the way through and different budgets and all that, it's nice to have something like the Jack Sears where you're kind of in your own championship out with the championship type thing. Like, I know there's all these independents manufacturers, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like, I think that it would be nice just to have the drivers, manufacturers, and the Jack Sears, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's nice because generally you find with the Jack Sears candidates, you've got your, the junior series. So like if they've been in Ginettas and then moved up, or the minis are moved up and in, and it's good to see. It's a bit of like an extra incentive, isn't it, internally within the championship to keep performing well, to keep scoring points, and then prove you are worthy of your touring car seat as such. So
so just. Well, obviously we've got a big weekend, so we'll probably do a chat similar to this after the weekend, saying how wrong we were about absolutely everything. And
who's going to kill?
No, I can't believe Turkington's went and won it from there. But that's what we'll probably do on probably early next week, hopefully, so it's still kind of fresh in everybody's mind. Let everybody watch it back and everything, because I think we'll be there for both the days. So, is there any other news? There was a livery, which they called. I think the two Fords. The two Fords came out with a new livery with its Valvoline. They called it Iconic, but I don't think it looks anything like the Iconic touring cars. No. But they grasp onto anything they can.
Yeah. It's I mean, if they had done it blue as well, then you could.
It would have been quite nice, wouldn't it? I think that might have been I think it might have been the Beavis. Is it the Beavis Morgan and that? I think they maybe overtook the kind of colour.
Yeah, which you can understand. Sure. Yeah.
Sponsorships, everything.
They're paying the money, aren't they? So
I mean, they look smart. It's nice. I always like a livery. James Gledell has said, when do you find out who's driving for who next season? Well, yeah. And Tin Top's replied by saying, James, ask Tony Gillam. He probably got his driver board up already. Yeah, well, I mean, funny season will start as soon as the season ends. I mean, it probably already has. I think we're already talking about. There's a couple of teams already talking about changing cars for next season, which Napa, I think, aren't they? Well, the team...
Potentially.
Who's it that runs him? Motorbase. It's still Motorbase, isn't it?
Yeah. It was just a sub company to run the team, isn't it? With Napa, with sponsorship. But I think isn't Sutton guaranteed for a couple of years with Napa?
I think so. I think they signed deals, didn't they? I think they signed decent deals then.
Yeah,
they might have both actually. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Who else has signed it?
That looks like a nice outfit as well, doesn't it? I mean, everything is. The cars look good.
They look good.
It looks very professional, and
it's easy to see the fans and everyone around the track as well with a bright kind of. Other than Rick Parfitt's rockin' race. That's a point.
Are you on about this one that I've got on? Which is
there he goes. Look, Dave Chambers is basically Mr. Merch. He's just got merch coming out his ears.
I know. Don't tell the wife.
The other point I was saying is Rick Parfitt. He said basically he's sick to death. He says the Infinity is basically dead, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said it about 5 times. He seemed very dejected last weekend, which was a bit sad to see, really, because I wasn't sure if he'd compete this season after speaking to us last season.
I was very surprised with that. Surprised.
He seems even more dejected this season. Which is a shame because I think these characters are good for the grid. Like, I know that someone else would get a chance or whatever, but I think it's good to have these characters, and he's quite a nice. But I'd like to see him do quite well because he's struggled with the car and stuff. I'd like to see him do quite well.
Yeah, I mean, he is very, from my experience, been brilliant with the fans. Always happy to see you. Have a quick chat. He's never in a rush. Where obviously. Some drivers they've dealt with that for years and years and years, and it's it's a bit too busy for them all the time, and they're trying to do other things. But Rick always takes the time out to say hello. Thanks for buying the merch. And
happy
for a picture. And it's and to be honest, like for a fan's point of view, that's what makes touring cars is you can go and meet the drivers, you can go and say what you want to say to them and tell them either how much you love them or hate them, and and it's people like Rick is brilliant for that.
I don't think all the lower series obviously get access and stuff, but I don't think there's a series as high as the touring cars that gives you as much access to all the drivers and to see all the cars and that as the British touring cars. There's every single person I've kind of introduced to touring cars, like even in my life, really, because I've loved it since I was a kid. But they've always been like, God, I can't believe you can walk around here. I can't believe you can see and do it. You know what I mean? They can't believe it.
Yeah.
But Tintop said, will the Jags be in? Yeah, well, that's one that we've spoke about a few times. Will the Jags be in? Who will they be with? Will MB form their own team with another TBL? Because I think there was a TBL that wasn't. I think it was loaned by Toka, which wasn't taken. It wasn't taken by Honda, which was the rumor last year. But the start of this year, will Bordley be back? Because he's back for the final race, isn't he? Cal Bordley.
Oh yes, yeah, he's in.
And he had
Cooper,
two. I think he's still. In fact, Lee said that there he owns 2 of the TBLs still. So there's still a million. There's still a million questions that could be kicking about. I've heard about the Jags before. People have said because of Honda's involvement reducing with dynamics, are they going to change? There's lots of. I think there could be a big shake-up if the Infinities are going to disappear from the grid, and possibly the Astras. The Astras are the next oldest, I think, on the grid.
Yeah.
I think.
What would you like to see on the grid? What would you like? Would you like something? Rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or
I don't want it to become a fully rear-wheel drive grid, which is the kind of worry when we've seen, like what I was speaking about earlier, when people spoke about the BMWs being overpowered and all the rest of it. The worry is that we might see like too much of a rear-wheel grid. I like the mixture. I think it adds a bit to certain tracks, which when it. I think it's just it's just the physics behind the application of power where rear-wheel drive car and hybrid, the type of torque that's added, I think that suits rear-wheel better than it suits front-wheel. and I think that's why most of them are looking at it. But yeah,
but also,
I'd like to see different manufacturers. I'd like to see more manufacturers.
Lap one dashes though, with the front wheel drives warming up their tyres a bit better.
Yeah,
it is nice to have that mix, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the mix.
Agree.
I like the mix, and I mean, I would love to see Jag in it, especially as manufactured, with the British Racing Green and all the rest of it. And I'd like to see, I'd love to see. Dub Zeus has said there, Volvo and Renault. These people are the. I don't know if Volvo are really interested in producing anything which isn't EV nowadays. Although they are massive on hybrid. Renault would be great because Renault had a great motorsport, history, and that they were the ones that caught my eye when I first, the Lagunas were they looked amazing. Yeah. But anything, I'd like any. I mean, I can't see a different Ford car. I can't see them bringing out anything but a Focus, really.
Yeah,
I'm a bit of a Ford fan.
I mean, a Megane would be quite good.
VW had the Passat with the CC before it wasn't very successful, was it? Megane would be good.
I think we should mention Plato though. Last weekend, isn't it?
Plato's last weekend. Apparently, there's also been rumours that he might, come back next season for a final season if Matt Neal's there. I don't know whether Mr. Toka's been talking to them and saying, "Oh, go on, just for one last season,"
Imagine
or whether he's
teammates.
Yeah. Funnier things have happened, haven't they?
Oh yes.
No, a big shout out to Plato. He's been amazing, hasn't he? He's been amazing. He's been amazing for
touring cars for the last 20, 30 years, whatever it's been. Incredible career as well in touring cars. So,
Lee's shouting at me saying that the Plato nearly won the title in the VW. Was that the CC?
That was with the
black one. Was it the BMR?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I think it was after that they called it a bit of a dog, wasn't
it? Yeah. Seemed when it went to Team Hard, it didn't perform as well, did it?
Yeah. It will be interesting. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs with Tony Gilliam and all the different bits and bobs that he owns from everywhere else and all that. I think it'd be a bit more healthy if there was manufacturers that came in. But we'll see.
Well, in that case, then, if we were talking about the next season, who would you, putting you on the spot here? who would you?
We'll leave this for next week.
Your two drivers for your, if you had a two-man team, and you could have any drivers on
That's a good question.
Current, or even the past BTC drivers, or who would you have in Team John?
Oh, that's a good question.
I told you I'd put you on the spot.
It's funny because
and you can't say Neil and Plato.
No, I actually liked Andrew Jordan,
Yeah.
I liked him as a driver and stuff, and I fancy Rory Butcher to do a bit better. Being Scottish, I'll pick one of the Scottish drivers. I'd go with Rory Butcher and Andy Jordan. I think they would be a mega team, and I'd stick them in. I don't know, because they don't have
Civic, hasn't it?
Yeah,
they're
probably
both rapid in Civics.
Yeah, probably that old Civic, that old shape Civic. It's a shame that came at the end of its life because I think Butcher was on one with that. But yeah, that's probably off the top of my head. I won't go with past drivers because I think it was Laurent Aiello was one of my favourite driver in the past. He drove the Nissan Primeras, the white one with the kind of splash livery up the side of it. Yeah, I love that. That and the Mondeos, the Rapid Fit Mondeos, which I think Dub Zeus said that early on. The Rapid Fit Mondeos were iconic. It would have been cool if they'd done something like that livery with their current sponsors or something. It'd be quite cool. But
no, I think if I was to have Team Dave, it would be my fanboy, which is Ash Sutton. But I would, on the risk of them being both very similar, it would be Ash and Jake Hill. If I was going to go for Mr. Sensible, I would probably pick Tingram and Turks. But
that would be a good team. Tingram and Turks would be a good team.
You can imagine that just being a perfect pairing, working with each other every single weekend, couldn't you?
Yeah. So Dub Zeus has got Sutton and Tingram in a Hyundai. Tin Top Racing UK, I've got 2-man team would be Ash and Jake.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, yeah. It's definitely a good question. It's one that we can maybe continue next week if we come back on to do one afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
Because we've got 7 minutes remaining on our second Zoom call, which I'm definitely going to be writing an email to Zoom or contacting the little person after this and go, what's going on here?
Like a strongly worded letter, John.
Yes. With a stamp and everything.
What's that?
Yeah. I do not know. I can't imagine what the cost of a stamp is nowadays.
Yeah.
But cheers for coming along, Dave. And
yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for having me.
No, it's great. And what we're hoping to do a few more of these kind of fan forums things. I think Harry will be definitely in on the future. He's just got a new baby girl, so he's like having to look after her.
Yeah, congratulations, Harry.
Congratulations to Harry. And we'll probably get another couple of folks in. Rich, if he's not streaming, will probably jump in. But we want to make this channel mostly about British touring cars and other different types of racing, like rally. Hopefully we'll get Dan in. Dan wants to do a bit about rally sometime because he's a co-driver in rally. So that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, just kind of general discussion. And cheers everyone in chat for coming along. That's been brilliant. Thanks for contributing. Oh, Dub Zeus has got Robo and Camish in as well. And he says, see you at Brands. Yeah, we'll try and be about and try and meet everyone at Brands on the Saturday and hopefully on the Sunday as well. And I think that's about it from us. So, cheers for coming.
If any of you see us at Brands, come and say hello. Don't be shy.
Come and say hello. Yeah, come and have a chat. Just shout Chambers and you'll get one of us.
One of us will look round.
Yeah. And hopefully the weather's all right-ish, so we see a bit of greasy track, but warm enough.
Yeah.
And a shout out to Creasy as well. Hopefully Creasy has a good weekend because he had a bit of form at Thruxton and then it went a bit off out of nowhere at Silverstone last week. A few weeks ago. So it'd be great to see him kind of mix it up.
Yeah.
But cool.
Definitely.
Cheers for coming along, and we will see you on the next one, which is probably going to be next week, and we'll be chatting about all of this again. But backwards.
Lovely.
Right, cheers.
Cheers, guys.